Okay, there's a lot to talk about. Uh, the Idaho 4, the attorney for the suspect is was actually representing Zaina's mother at one point, so there's a lot to go there. We have to wait to see what's going to play out there with conflict of interest on this one. So I'm going to wait to make any more comments until we to see what's going to actually happen with that. The other thing is I'd like people to understand: don't buy into some of this stuff out there on the internet. Uh, I had seen one person, they were charging people to go out because this individual has a story from the sister of DM's sister, and she told her the whole story. So if you pay and go listen to it, uh, there's nothing there. I didn't go out and look at it. I didn't pay for it, but anytime someone wants you to pay for information, with all this information being out there, so everybody has a chance to look at it and digest it and try to put things together, don't go out and pay for this stuff. Another one was a list of witnesses. Somebody made an entire video on a new witness that's going to get called in. Well, there's no witness list been released. I pray they don't ever release that list, because anybody who's going to go in as a witness, especially with all this stuff going on the internet right now, they could become targeted, and that's not a good thing. So I hope they don't release a witness list. Once this case is over, people can see what was said, what was done. They can get the court transcripts. There's a lot of things that can come out of this once it's all over. But for right now, there's just too much hatred for a lot going on because of misunderstanding and not sure of what's going on, and people are frustrated, and I get that, but just don't pay for information. Don't go out there and buy something that somebody's selling, because it's usually that snake oil. So I want to compare something. One of the questions brought up to me was the why. Why did this happen? Or what was going through the mind of a killer? Well, that there's volumes and volumes of books written from killers, from interviews with murderers. And if you step away from just that alone, you just think about the way that these crimes were committed. Let's look at the Idaho 4, an individual who had reportedly stalked one of the girls on the internet. He had made several attempts to make contact. He had been to the residence before. He had been there numerous times, and he was watching them. This was an awkward individual who had a lot of issues. We can compare this murder to Naomi Irion, I think is how you pronounce her last name, out of Nevada. Back in March of 22, she was kidnapped from a Walmart parking lot, and the individual that took her had a rap sheet from drugs to an accomplice in homicide to burglaries and robberies with a firearm. He had a long rap sheet. He took this teenager at 5 o'clock, 5:09 is when she arrived at the Walmart, and 5:24 he crawled into her car, and 5:25 drove off with her. She was sitting there just waiting for a bus to go to work. Was that a stalking crime, or was that just crime of opportunity with this individual who just took her quickly and then ended up killing her? Or you can go on to Eliza Fletcher. She's out of Memphis, Tennessee. She was out for a jog at 4 o'clock in the morning. Was this her regular time? According to a lot of the reports, yes, this time she went jogging on a regular basis. Did the suspect see her before and decide, okay, this is an easy target? Because this suspect was also an ex-convict who spent time in prison for rape. And so we look at this as, my sister-in-law made a comment that one of her people she knows told her that the most dangerous thing to a woman is a man. Unfortunately, she was right. Why? Why did the Idaho suspect go into this residence? He wasn't going after any men. There was a reason he went in there. Why was Naomi taken by an individual who had a crime sheet, a rap sheet, a mile long? At that time in the morning, he's sitting there at the Walmart. Why? Did he know that she sits at the bus you're waiting for the bus every morning? Eliza Fletcher, she does a jog every morning at 4 a.m. Was this individual stalking and watching her and seeing her before? So when we dig into some of these homicides and why they do it, and just the immediate reason, it's hard to grasp for the normal person to look at this and say, I want a black and white answer. There isn't one. There is no black and white answer as to why an individual would do this. Why would one woman get raped by the suspect out of Tennessee and not killed? But he raped more than one woman. But why did he kill this one? Why was Naomi killed when her suspect was in for homicide of a drug dealer? He was a drug dealer himself, a burglar, robber. Why did he kill? Why did he kidnap a woman? So there's a lot of whys in this world, a lot of unanswered questions. Sometimes it's just a crime of passion. Other times it's a crime of, in their minds, no, this isn't what I'm saying, in their minds, a crime of necessity. No witnesses left behind. So how do we prevent this? How do we prevent all these crimes from occurring? How do women live without this happening to them? I mean, I wish that they, women could go out and do whatever they wanted to at any time of the day or night, wherever they wanted to. I really wish they could. It's horrific that these animals won't allow that. So you have to be prepared. Now, I'm not going to say that any of these victims are at fault for what happened. None of them are at fault for what happened. Absolutely none. I mean, we could say there's mistakes made, or we could point out things. I just want to learn from what happened on what we could do in the future to prevent these things. Never put a blame on any victim. I don't care who they are. I don't care what happened. There's no blame for the victim. We talked about residential security, locking doors, locking windows, locking interior doors if you're in a multiple roommate type scenario. You've got to make sure your place is secure just for you. You're number one you're your only first responder, so you're the one that's got to take care of yourself. Nobody else can. A woman jogging at 4 o'clock in the morning in Memphis, Tennessee, I don't care what part of the neighborhood it is, don't. Unless you have a running partner, or you are really good at fighting and have a good tool with you. A lot of women are starting to carry pepper spray, but you got to remember, if the wind's blowing or however this works, it could turn on you and take you out too. Firearms, you can't just go buy a gun, throw it on your hip, and walk around thinking you're Wyatt Earp. It doesn't work that way. It takes a lot of training and a lot of practice, and plus takes a lot of mental attitude and mental training to decide if you can actually pull the trigger on a human being. The young lady going to work in Nevada, if you're going to be sitting in your car for any length of time, I've talked about this before, if you're leaving a parking lot, get in your car, drive away. If you're sitting there waiting for something, keep your doors locked, and always be prepared. Before you get out of that car and unlock those doors, you look around your car. If somebody's even approaching you or standing outside your vehicle, drive away. I don't care if you're going to miss your bus or not, drive away. Unless that bus is there and there's people on the bus that you can alert to say, hey, this guy's bothering me, I need him to leave. So the best thing is we talked about home defense plan. You have got to make a personal defense plan. You've got to make this decision today that I'm going to say, my mind, my body, and my tools. My mind, I'm going to prepare myself. I'm going to get myself ready. If I have to go to war with something, I'm going to go to war with it. My body is, what are my abilities? What am I capable of doing? What can I learn at this stage in my life to fight and protect myself? And what tools am I going to use? When you make the determination between the mind, body, and tools, when you move from there, you make the plan. If I'm going to go for a jog at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to know my route. People's going to know my route. I'm going to have my weapons available in my hands. They're not going to be in a bag or any place I can't get to them. And my eyes are open at all times. If I'm wearing earbuds, they're gone now. Wear the bone conducting. You can still hear your music, but you can still hear any noises. Look for anything out of the ordinary. If a vehicle pulls in a parking lot in front of you and stops, go across the street if you have to. It's 4 in the morning. The traffic shouldn't be that heavy. Avoid everything you can possibly avoid. Always have a plan for an escape route, no matter what you're doing. But you have got to plan. You've got to make a self-defense plan. You've got to be strict with it. You've got to fight with it. You've got to prepare yourself for it. Don't just go punch a bag. Get a partner and fight with them. Go to the range and don't just stand there. Move and shoot. Sit down and shoot. Lay down and shoot. If you're going to use chemical sprays, try it a few times. Unfortunately, I've been sprayed about well over 24 times. Directly sprayed. I've been shot with bean bags. I've been hit with CS, CN, you name it. I was a less lethal instructor, and I got hit with a lot. It's hard to fight through. It really is. You can eventually develop a tolerance to it, and so can criminals. So you've got to prepare yourself. If something fails, you have to have a backup tool. If you spray some with OC and the wind catches it and blows and it doesn't affect them very much, but they still come after you, you have to have a secondary tool, which could be your hands, your feet, whatever weapon you have to come up with. But when you decide to make it a self-defense plan, you have to decide what your mindset is, what your physical capabilities are, your mind, body, and then whatever tool you want to use. The other one asked for me quite a bit was elderly. What do the elderly people do? I had a lot of elderly people ask me that they say they can't fight. They're either walkers or wheelchairs. You have to make a decision of what your body is capable of, and if you really can't fight, or you don't want to get a tool that's gonna help prevent any type of attack, don't go alone. Always take somebody with you when you go somewhere. Make plans to go somewhere safe at a certain time that you're not putting yourself in danger. We all get to that point in life where either we're really young or we're just not ready for a fight, and we've got to make other plans to protect ourselves, just like young children. But for elderly people, you can use chemicals, not really chemicals, but it's oleoresin capsicum, which is OC spray. And again, if you spray it and the wind hits you, it's going to come back at you. You can use tasers. They do have tasers that shoot the prongs out just like law enforcement. It shoots 50,000 volts for 30 seconds. Law enforcement goes for 5, then they have to hit it again each time, where a civilian will hit 30 seconds. You throw that gun down, you get out of there. And then you file a report with it. Firearms, you've got to know how to use it. I've had individuals with walkers in my firearms classes, and they did a really great job. But you have to be ready mentally to be able to use that. So, women, I hate it. The 25 years I was on the Domestic Violence Sexual Assault Task Force, I met a lot of victims, a lot of people who none of them deserve what happened to them. But you feel useless, that you want to help, but you can't. All you can do is care and fight. Fight these animals by getting them put in prison. But if the courts keep releasing them, in Tennessee they released that Eliza's murderer. He should have stayed in prison, but they released him because of different laws made. So prepare yourself, please. Don't blame the victims. Like I said, the Idaho 4, there's a lot of things that could have happened, but it's not their fault at all. It's the murderer's fault. Period. That's the only one to blame, is the murderer. Whichever animal did this, he's the one to blame. And let's just watch, see how things unfold when more information comes out on that case. But let's make a plan, make a self-defense plan. Sit down and think mind, body, tools. Where's my mind? What am I physically capable of? And what tools am I going to use? And once you make that decision, then you start making your training decision. And with that training decision, that's when you make your self-defense plan. I'm going to have this plan for this event. Now remember, when you make a plan, it's not strict. An attack is fluid. It's going to change, and you have to be able to adapt and change with it. If you have a plan, say I'm going to go from point A to point B, and this is how it's going to be, it doesn't work that way. So be prepared when you make that plan. So stay safe, stay vigilant, and have a good night.